I have absolutely no fucking money. I have no hope of getting any money until Coven is finished. Aesthetically, I'm not ready. The script is not ready. The casting hasn't even begun. The locations are scant at best. Are you crazy? That's 11 days away from now.
Welcome back to the harbor. I'm your host, the Kino Cowboy. I'm with my boy Scott in Boston on this beautiful Sunday. You won't be watching it on Sunday. I don't know why I said that. Anyway,
there's a 1 in 7 chance.
Yeah, 1 in 7 chance you might watch it on Sunday.
Anyway, we're talking about American movie.
American
I do
movie.
want to say real quick before we start, it might be beautiful where you're at currently, but it is overcast as fuck here in Fort Shit.
Yeah, fascinating.
Fuck.
So we're talking about American movie. Which American movie? There's thousands of them, you might ask.
Thousands.
We're talking about the American movie, a 1999 documentary film directed by Chris Smith.
Turn of the century.
I chose this because, well, it's my favorite documentary of all time. And that might be a bold claim, but it is very true. And why is that? Because it's about the plight of fulfilling your dreams and the American dream, and we'll get into the American dream in a minute, but it's
about being a hack fraud indie filmmaker.
No, hang on. Just because I'm an indie filmmaker doesn't mean shit. It does mean a lot of shit, actually. And as someone who has made very zero budget films myself and have to use my shitty friends to make these movies, you know.
Okay.
He's rammed my head through many a cabinet.
I wore dirty, shitty underwear covered in sriracha.
I know. I'm thankful that my friends gave a shit, and actually, most of them do a good job. A few of them did not,
and I'm glad we grew out of that.
No,
and we're like Adrian can make his own features, with his own cast.
Yeah.
No, but this movie, it is, jokes aside, it does remind me of back when I was helping you make films and do something like that. And it's a film about dreams. Your dream doesn't have to be a filmmaker. I don't even think you have to have artistic dreams or dreams of stardom to do this movie. There's even one line, Mark Borchardt, the main character, and who we follow his attempts to finish his film Coven, a horror film.
Fucking idiot, Coven. By the way. He's a fucking idiot. That blew my mind that he didn't know how to pronounce Coven.
And he wanted to pronounce it Coven because it sounded cooler to him.
But in Coven sounds like oven. That's what he says.
Yeah, fucking dumb.
Coven. Okay. Let's get that. And I'm pretty sure you can watch it on YouTube. I need to.
Yeah.
I might do that today.
Here's the thing. He's a dingus about certain things, but his love for the craft is endearing. That's why I like him. And I have seen all of Coven, and I will say about Coven, I think it's actually pretty well put together. It's a competently made film, and it's got atmosphere, and he works with what he got, and some of the performances are actually pretty decent, and I actually enjoy watching that film. So it kind of bums me out that he didn't get to go further, really, too much. We'll talk about his career after this movie, but
yeah, which I haven't caught up completely.
Coven, for a no budget feature or short film in the 90s in Wisconsin, I think he did a pretty good job.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. I think the movie wouldn't work if he was completely incompetent.
Yeah, I agree.
Because you see clips from the movie, and it's obviously zero budget horror schlock, but I've seen a lot worse, and I've seen a lot worse from self-professed filmmakers.
Yes, and I want to talk about that too, because I've said this 100 times, but not everyone watches every episode of this show. But
fake fans,
when you're a zero budget filmmaker, you have to work within those parameters. People aren't going to want to watch they're not going to take a big, a sci-fi kind of, like, they're not going to take stuff seriously unless you do it within these like certain parameters.
If you only have people who their only acting experience is being in a mystery dinner theater type production.
Right.
You can't do a period piece drama. That's
Yeah.
not
Trying to
something
tell me
that's
those
gonna
aren't
happen.
talented
Which
actors.
I think is something that some people they fall for. You know?
Yeah, they too many indie filmmakers are delusional in that way. But Mark does not have he has the right idea, because I was reading an interview from like 2000 or 2001 after the success of American Movie, and I want to read this bit that he says towards the end of the interview. The interviewer says, "Anything you want to add?" And Mark Borchardt says, "I would say this because I see this time and time again. I would bring it to something original." Okay, he's talking about like in Hollywood, like or not Hollywood, but like making a movie for festivals or something. He says, "I would bring it to something original and unique about your own perspective. People waste tens of thousands of dollars with these low budget films trying to imitate Hollywood movies, and they just suck. No one notices them. People laugh at them. Hollywood has millions of dollars to make their own films, and they have it down to a science. No one cares about your low budget films imitating gangster films or all that crap, because it ends in failure, because the people who bring a confident original perspective can get noticed. If you're a drunk little paper boy on your wagon and you have a bottle of whiskey, then make a film about that. Don't be a 14-year-old imitating a big monster. If you're a drunk paper boy, that's your film. A lot of people want to see that. They don't want to see some pseudo imitation films."
Well, here's the thing. A lot of people did want to see a drunk paper boy because that's exactly the character they get in Mark Borchardt.
Yeah.
And I do wonder what Mark's opinion is now. Because I feel like he's popped back up. We'll get to this, and I think you caught up on it more than me. But he did pop back up not too long ago with something he made. So he is still active intermittently. You know, money's a thing. Booze. I don't know. Is this guy an alcoholic, or is he just an average Wisconsinite?
Just an average Midwesterner in general.
I think he's just
like low
he drinks
class.
too much,
Fucking,
but-
he does drink too much in the movie. But also in Coven, the main character who he plays is like having to go to AA meetings and shit, and it's like there's like terror surrounding the AA meetings, and he's like seeing shit and like visions and stuff.
which is a crazy concept. Like, for the concept of going to an AA meeting and it being a cult is a great fucking like horror concept.
I know.
love that.
I enjoy the
Like, that's
fucking
smart.
film, Coven.
I don't think he's an idiot by any means in terms of
No.
like auteur, like filming. And
No, in
filmmaking.
terms of social.
He's a fucking idiot. And
Well, here's the thing. He's also somehow manipulates and gets all of these Midwesterners.
where did his Riz come from? Like,
Yeah, he's good at that for sure.
it's fucking weird.
There's this natural like about him. I don't know. He's got this weird unconventional charisma in certain aspects. I don't know.
Well, it's like his brothers even talk about in the film, like they thought he was going to be a fucking serial killer with the way he interacted with
some of
people.
that's brutal.
His
One
aggression.
of his brothers who seems the most put together was brutal on this film.
Yeah, dude.
Because he said, I thought he'd be a stalker or something. And then he said, I think he's best suited for factory work. Which is mean to say that's all you can do. Which I also don't think, I don't know, intellectually it's not true of Mark, but emotionally, can he do much else?
I will tell you, man, this movie, it's great. But just to let our audience know, I had to stop the movie at one point and text the boys here, because after learning about Mark and his intricacies and who he is as a person, he drops the bombshell that he has 3 fucking kids, and I couldn't fucking believe that.
Yeah, it's a crazy reveal.
And it is a crazy reveal. It's done pretty understated. This whole movie's pretty understated. There's no narration or anything.
No,
It's
for
like
sure.
Michael Moore.
It shocked me. Like,
It's also because
the
the first 20 minutes is like hammering you in with how broke and in debt he is.
Yeah, he's like counting off his bills, and like it's just adding up to thousands and thousands of dollars. And then he's like, "Oh yeah, I've got 3 kids." And I'm like, oh
Also,
my
after like
fucking
going through all
God.
those bills, he's like, "Oh shit, I got a MasterCard. That's awesome."
Yeah, he feels like a Mike Judge character. Him and Mike both.
They really do, yeah. And
Like-
it's so real, and that's what I also like about it, is how true American Midwestern it is. But
It's
also,
a segment of the population that's not represented much in cinema.
Yeah.
Outside of your Fargo and I guess your Barbs and Stars. But the Midwest, even compared to the South, which is rural and stuff, there's a character, there's a history there. The Midwest at parts can really be portrayed as just a big nothing. But that's also where you get that Midwest character, which I always found interesting. These sort of polite but hearty, hardworking Midwesterner,
Corn fed as fuck.
corn fed.
But also it captures that last old school analog pre 9/11 American living.
So real quick, I remember my mom is from the Midwest, like Detroit, right around those areas.
Mhm.
Watching the footage from Wisconsin and seeing stuff like that, I was like, fuck, this reminds me of where we grew up or like lived whenever we lived up in Michigan.
Yeah.
Everybody is very similar.
Well, I was thinking, I knew you lived in Michigan for a while, and I know Michigan, Detroit area is also obviously different beast. But what aspects, as a Midwesterner, maybe a half Midwesterner, what aspects of these characters jumped out to you as most that seemed typically Midwestern?
The fucking amount they drink.
Yes.
Dude, Midwesterners drink more than anybody on the fucking like country.
I think Wisconsin specifically is one of the fattest and heaviest drinking states. Easily.
Yeah, I believe that. And then like their demeanor. So maybe not Detroit specifically, but we would go up to like the peninsula of Michigan, and we weren't the rich people going to peninsula. We were the fucking like little like back when we had middle class, we were lower middle class. And so you have the same type of fucking like kind of trailer parky vibe, and like everybody's nice, but everybody's getting fucked up. And you don't really have a whole lot of responsibilities that you take care of. I don't know. It's very it just reminded me a lot of that, especially like the intricacies of the city that they're in. Like it looks like the old cities that my fucking cousins and stuff grew up in. And it just fucking brought back a little spark of how fucking wild that time was. You know, smoking cigarettes in the house while you're babysitting the kids type shit.
And there is, though, it's odd. This is characterized, and this part of the country is almost characterized. There's one part hopelessness and one part hopefulness on this. Because I think a lot of people from these parts of the countries, they feel stuck there. And it's a question of how resigned are you to your fate? Because it's Mark's baby mama gives one of the more potent lines in the movie shortly after her reveal. How did they meet? Mark,
was that his baby mama, or was that his girlfriend after the baby mama?
You only see his baby mama once, and she's like, you can't see her face.
It's like fucking Jerry Springer yelling out in the front yard. It's like
Yeah.
that episode of Cheaters that you pull up on in fucking Wisconsin Walmart.
Oh, well, that's his.
He's talking about his girlfriend.
Yeah, girlfriend. I meant. Who talks about the dissatisfaction Mark feels in life and how he wants a home and everything. And she just comments, "Isn't everybody like that?"
There's a reason why the Midwest does that kind of shit to you. It's the place where it's condensed pretty heavily. There's a lot of but it's a lot of like weird different values than the rest of the country has, and drugs affect it, as we see and hear in this movie and things like that. I mean, the Midwest has spawned a whole genre of music called Midwest emo for a reason. Like you want to leave, but you can't, and when you come back, you love it.
Yeah. I mean, do you think there is that aspect to it? Because some of the different values, I remember we're doing evaluations, self-evaluations and employee evaluations at work. Yeah, it's annoying. It's stupid. But I remember one of the little HR has to be the easiest job on the planet. What do?
You sell your soul.
You sell your soul, you hire people, and you send them a quarterly email with like handouts you took from the internet about why certain cultures are less likely to be the squeaky wheel than others. And it specifically mentioned Midwesterners on that, you know?
Oh yeah.
It's kind of like if I'm ever around New Yorkers, I have to remind myself to be kind of louder sometimes, in the sense that there's a lot of jockeying sometimes with like East Coasters because it's kind of fast paced, you know? And even as a Southerner or Midwesterner, you kind of have to adjust to that, or you'll just get walked over.
We're Southern. We're not fucking Midwest. Arkansas,
I know.
Midwest. Okay, I've had that argument a lot before, and it pisses me off. We're not Midwest.
I've had that. Look, if I'm going to deal with the guilt of having Confederate-esque stylings into my state flag,
we're going all the way in, boy.
I'm going to at least get the privilege of calling myself Southern with that liberal white guilt. Because the Midwest is a big pile of nothing, though. When people talk about Middle America, I mean, even though I consider us Middle America, they're really talking about this kind of place.
Yeah.
Which I almost find some Midwesterners have an envy of the South because it's like, you're shitty, but at least you have an identity.
Dude, no, I hang out with a lot of my good friends are from Kansas and the Kansas City metro area and stuff. And every time they come to Arkansas, they're like, why the fuck do we leave? Like, there's a lot of more beauty in Arkansas than gets credit for and things like that. There's not a whole lot in the fucking Midwest.
Yeah, but if you're trying to be a filmmaker, there's not much in Arkansas as much as there is in fucking Wisconsin.
Yeah, not unless you go out into the fucking sticks of the fucking woods, which no one really wants to do because it's a bitch.
I'm just saying, like, there's no connections or anything like that. So
no, but there aren't in Wisconsin either, and that's why it's such a universal thing.
Yeah,
or even, I mean, you could have the same movie. I mean, it's been done a million times with somebody trying to break into Hollywood. The thing that gets me about Mark, getting back to Mark, is that outside of a vague idea of we need to sell VHS tapes, he really has no career plan.
Yeah.
I don't know if he's submitting to festivals. I don't hear him talk about submitting to festivals in this. I don't talk about him making connections. And he has that directorial ego where he wants to be in complete control of everything to the point where I don't think it's possible he could work in a studio production very well, unless he got humbled hard.
Well, he has that problem where he's constantly throughout the movie when he's doing shitty work, he's like, this is all beneath me, fuck all this, I can't stand the fucking 9 to 5 monotony, which I understand. You're edgier about that in like when you're like a teenager in college and stuff. So I get, I hate doing bullshit work too, everyone does, but like I don't know, he should have sometimes you gotta just roll with that shit, man. I don't know.
Isn't he unemployed? Like living with his mom?
Well, he does different jobs.
He's underemployed.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because he cleans the cemetery mausoleum or whatever it is.
Yeah.
That's so weird. I forget about that. He's such a fucking King of the Hill character, man.
Yeah.
Like, Beavis and Butt. Like, I swear to God, this could have been scripted by Mike Judge with how accurate. Like, I don't know. It's weird.
Well, him working in the cemetery, it's thematically appropriate. Because why is he making art? Because he's afraid of death. He's afraid of not mattering. Okay? That's why people create art. That's why they do it. So the fact that he works at a cemetery and he's constantly reminded of it, and I think he comments on it about just people kind of being buried. But at the same time, he alienates a lot of the people he loves. Fortunately, he has a good support system. But is alienating people who know and love you worth making Coven? Is Coven worth that?
To him, maybe.
I feel that I unfortunately I do relate to him in certain ways of like not wanting to work shitty jobs and then trying to figure out ways to make money so you can make a better feature. And Northwestern was never completed. I feel bad for him in that regard.
I feel bad.
It's much harder to complete a film back then. Yeah.
This is another film that, first of all, it does kind of raise the question, and we've talked about this before. What is a film? What counts as a film? Is somebody making a 5-minute short on their video on their phone a film? What is the line exactly?
It's content. It's all just content.
No, shut up, Casher.
I do understand the idea of like, okay, I can't make this big feature right now, but I can complete this short film and try and sell it and use that money to make the movie. So I get what he's going for. It's just like, damn, it took him 3+ years to fucking make a 35-minute short. Just everything else in your life takes away, and then you have to get everything together. So I feel his pain on that end, but
dude's got dedication though. 3 years for a 35-minute fucking film.
Yeah.
Seeing the way they filmed back then too, man.
Stubbornness.
outside of studio shit, I'd never seen any like a documentary about filmmaking in the 90s that's like outside of that. So it looks all controlled in the environment, which even if it's controlled, Babylon shows that the shit's chaotic regardless. But like this, I'm seeing him with like a fucking film camera on the ground in the snow filming fucking scenes. It's just like,
Hell yeah, that's all part of it,
that's
dude.
awesome. Yeah.
Indie filmmaking is sick. I mean,
Well, it's like
you know.
what I can't remember what we filmed Moon Men on, but it wasn't like anything remotely as bulky and
Yeah,
huge,
I mean,
you
thank
know?
God, dude. This is
That's what I'm saying. Like it's
we're
just
filming
it's
on a
insane.
fucking Canon camcorder, you know, like I don't know. We filmed it 1080p, boom, done.
Yeah.
We have a simple boom pole, you know. Don't
We
have
did have to rent out an overnight University of Wisconsin editing room.
Yeah, I made a 3-hour film in 2 years, and you know, that would have in the 90s that would have taken fucking 10 years and on a zero budget.
Well,
And
and
like,
I and then like I do want to say my favorite part of his whole filmmaking process is the destruction of his car.
yeah.
That's fucking insane. If I couldn't imagine anybody in our fucking friend group doing that.
I don't know. I almost could.
Yeah. Maybe remember that car you bought for like $600, Adrian?
Which one?
The very first car you ever bought?
No, that wasn't for $600.
I thought it
Which
was
one?
600. The one you got from that dude in the random house. We found it on Craigslist and we went and go picked it up. Maybe not. It's like the one you had when we were living together.
The white wait, you mean that red one, that piece of shit?
Mhm.
Yeah, fuck that car.
We could have destroyed that one for your movie.
Yeah, we could have.
Would that have been worth it? Because I mean, Mark seems fine destroying other aspects of his life to make this movie. That without this movie lambasting him, I don't know. Does this movie? Let me ask you this: how does the movie treat its subject?
I think pretty neutrally. I think that it just shows everything for how it is, and everything's kind of a little ridiculous, and that's there's no narration, I don't think there's a slant to it at all. I mean, yeah, like you can show some goofy stuff.
There's some editing.
There's some editing there, but like some of it's very endearing in the way it's goofy, you know. It's not like we're like, haha, you're a failure of a filmmaker. No, it's like that's the whole thing, is that he's trying to pursue the American dream, but it's his own fault for mocking the American dream while he's doing it. And he talks about how much he loves the American dream, but then he also shits on people's ideas of what they consider to be the American dream. So it's like, well, what do you want?
The American dream is the entire thing is stupid anyway, because other countries also have the idea that you can work hard and improve your station in life.
No, they don't.
Yes, 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 they do. No, they don't.
Grab your bootstraps, man.
It's his
everywhere else
obsession with that ideal kind of drags him down a bit.
Well, absolutely, because it's odd because he does let these material desires, and I know he's underemployed and bribing and kind of elder abusing his uncle.
That's what I was thinking. The elder abuse. I'm glad you said that.
Well, okay, let me ask you this: do you think it's elder abuse?
Yeah,
No.
dude, that dude fucking hella manipulated that guy.
Okay,
I think Uncle Bill's a fucking stingy old prick.
He's not a stingy old prick. It's the money he has that he got swindled out of. I don't think he ever had any real intentions of
This
finishing.
man's just sitting in a fucking trailer with
okay, so let's steal his money. That's
I'm not saying steal his money,
moral.
but like he's just asking to borrow $3,000 so he can make a fucking movie. Like, it's not a big deal to me. Like, obviously,
maybe not up to you, but it's a big deal to me.
No, I mean, this guy's
I don't think
his brother says that he's always been stingy, close with his money, and like ornery about it and stuff. I don't know, and it's like, sure, I feel like if I had that kind of money and I was like a year or two away from death, I'd be like, yeah, here's some. It is an investment. Good luck.
Well, I think he really wanted Northwestern made and finished before he passed, which was a impossible task. But I really don't think Mark had the intentions of really making Northwestern.
Yeah, he did.
I think he did. I think he had.
I feel like he would have finished it if that's the case. I do.
That's a big project. He didn't have the money to do it.
He got
or the
$50,000
father.
at the end of the fucking movie.
Yeah, at the end of the movie. What's the point?
So he could still make that. He could use the 50,000 and finish
He's like
Northwestern.
30,000 in debt.
Yeah, that's the question,
mean-
though. Where did that money go? How much of it did he spend on Northwestern?
Yeah. I don't know.
Oh, and this interview I read, like a year after the movie, he's like on his 5th draft of the script, and he's still trying to get shit together for it. So
Okay.
I don't know.
That puts
just
more into
happens.
perspective. It sounded like he just took the money and said,
Oh,
I get
he
to
has
make
3
other shit.
kids. He's in debt. He probably spent that money on shit that needed to be spent on instead of making a fucking movie.
Yeah, but Mark also seems like the guy who wouldn't spend it on what it's needed to be spent on.
Well, either way, that is the separation. Is like, yeah, I personally do make stupid gambles in an attempt to make film myself. But if I had 3 fucking kids, I would just have to say fuck it, and I have to do what I need to do to be a good father. And
No, that's fair.
you know, he
Okay.
does not.
I didn't know if you were going to say to be a good father, I have to do what I need to do to make Coven.
No, I'm saying like if I was him, like that's too bad. I'm just gonna have to take care of these kids and then try to do stuff on the side. You know what I mean? Like that's where I really get the separation of like, dude, you need to fucking figure some shit out.
Yeah, that's totally fair. I wonder how his kids are now.
They're probably either went really straight with a career because they saw the madness of an artistic passion. And
Yeah.
they said, screw it, I'm going to law school. Or they're all angry Cinema Sins-esque YouTube critics.
I feel like the boy is. I mean, they told his dad.
Yeah, the boy who went and saw Apocalypse Now.
Apocalypse
5 years
Now.
old.
What did you like? Yeah, and he starts quoting it. Was the
horror. He
Yeah.
likes that part.
Yeah, what kind of shitty fucking dad takes a 5-year-old to see that movie?
That's what cracks me up. One of my favorite scenes in the movie where he's explaining ADR to his daughter, but he's doing it in the worst possible way he could, condescending to her.
Yeah, condescending to like
all
a
he has to
5-year-old
explain
kid.
is that it's a voiceover. That's all he needs to do. But he's incapable of thinking outside of himself in so many ways.
Yeah, he's like, what do you don't get it? Like, what do you mean you don't get it?
Well, that's the thing. It's amazing that we like Mark despite his egotism.
Yeah, for sure.
Because he, kind of abuses his uncle and then manipulates people around him and tries to get Mike to spend his $20 of lottery winnings on beer when he's already drunk.
God damn it. I love Mike to death. I'm glad.
Yeah, we haven't even talked about Mike Shank.
He's the perfect sidekick.
That is the best character,
power, bro.
best person in the movie. I like that they became friends over their love of vodka and getting fucked up.
He wanted someone who could party as hard. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's like, and now that he's sober, his addiction is now buying scratch-offs, which might be the most Midwestern addiction outside of like meth.
There was some guy at the AA meeting or something he went to or Gambling Anonymous or whatever, who was there because of scratch-offs.
That's so fucking wild to me, dude. I've never encountered that in my fucking life.
It's so. Do you guys have the gambling scratch-off gene or any sort of gambling gene?
Only time I get scratch-offs is when I go out of state, and that's because I was raised every time I go out of state, we stop by because growing up, Arkansas didn't have the scratch-offs.
Oh, that's why.
Get scratch-offs there. But no, I don't have the scratch-off or really the gambling. I like gambling. But no,
I like horse gambling.
I love horse gambling, and I like
I like
going
to
the race. Like $500 at the racetrack or something.
It was like 300, yeah.
Oh, okay.
But that was on slots. I got drunk and then played the slots. I like slots too, man.
So Casher's the most degenerate out of us when it comes.
No, Casher's definitely has the gambling gene more than us.
I sports bet too.
Obviously, I experienced an extreme version of degenerate gambling. Go check out my movie Christmas in Vegas.
Hey, plug number 3.
Kind of similar to this movie in a way.
It is. A lot of your movies are.
Yeah. You can see why I like it so much.
You're 1,000 times more self-aware than Mark.
It's interesting because I fell in love with this movie before I even had any films, feature films out.
Well, I think it had to at some level subconsciously affect you. Like Moonman is half documentary.
Yeah.
For things like that. Autobiopic. But I think that kind of goes back to in your own work. Some people aren't necessarily going to take your film seriously if you take yourself too seriously. If
Right.
you try to do an intense gangster drama. And one way of diffusing that is, I know this movie's ridiculous, but it's also a documentary of the filmmaking while the film is being made.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
kind of like that Spaceballs joke where they have the VHS.
So yeah, anyway, Mike Shank is like a very beautiful person in this movie. You know, the way he just like goes along with everything. He's just happy to be there.
He's the dude.
Yeah.
He's very dude-like.
He's the sober dude.
Kind of. But you know,
I admire this. I admire that how open he is to everybody too. And like I think that my favorite moment in the entire film is when he produces the scream and everybody like claps for him, and he just has the biggest fucking smile on his face. You know, I don't know. It just made me feel real good.
Having a good time, and you're glad to see it.
Is fucking wild.
And it's like
his brain is permanently fried from
the
amount of acid or whatever he did.
All kinds of shit. And that's one of my favorite parts is when he talks about how he like took bunk acid that was like PCP with like a little bit of downer, and he woke up in the hospital and he was trying to find his acid so he could do acid in the hospital. And his mom like flushed it down the toilet and shit. Yeah, we don't see Mike Shank's parents at all, but that would have been interesting, I think.
Hearing about that, yeah.
Which also, you know, he died.
We don't explain what Mike does for a living. You have to assume I don't know if he works at a gas station. That'd be too.
That's what I was gonna say. He seems like a gas station attendant.
You know, rest in peace, Mike Shank. He died this past year. That was a bummer, but you know, there was some cool tributes to the guy.
Gonna play the big scratch off in the sky.
Yeah, I do wonder what he did for a living. Maybe he just lived with his parents. Who knows?
I don't know. Just float around in the Midwest. Do you just float around doing different odd jobs?
Yeah.
Is just that what you do in the upper Midwest?
That's I do like at one point he's like, Mike Shank says that he's been spending $10 on scratch offs every day for like a week, and then he wins $50 and he's excited about it. I'm like, dude,
you lost 20.
You're like, if you didn't spend any of that money,
I'll never understand that. I'll never understand a scratch off like compulsion. It's so fucking wild to me.
It's insane.
It's a tax on people who can't do math. That's all it is.
Yeah.
I do like his reasoning for scratch offs though. He's like, you sometimes win, you sometimes lose, but with drugs and alcohol, you always lose. Which should have been the Dare slogan. That sounds perfect.
Is Dare would have probably been more effective if it just rerouted people's vices to
like
it's like, we know you're gonna have one vice, so
you gotta have a vice.
Support Native Americans.
Well, yeah, I want to talk about Mark's parents.
Yeah,
because his dad is very distant from his family, and he doesn't like what Mark does, and you know,
cursing.
I understand that to a T. His mom is more. She cares about him more, especially his craft, but also like he'll like manipulate her into being like an extra and shit. And I'm like, Jesus Christ, dude.
Swedish mom.
But it's weird that like it's brutal, I guess, is what I'm saying. Is like the way she says, yeah, he wants to make movies, he wants to be the big movie producer, and then she's like, they're like, well, you think he'll succeed? And she's like, no, I don't really think so. No. And then it's like, damn. But then there's also the side of where she still tries to help and believe in him, because she takes a photo of him on his last shot of Coven that he was shooting.
She's a good mom.
It's kind of a complicated thing. She does care.
You support your kids, and that never really goes away from what I hear. I don't know. Some people never start supporting their kids, but once you start, you don't really ever stop supporting your kids. And I think a lot of parents out there would, I mean, I don't know, maybe this is all she had. What was her life before when she was in Sweden or wherever? And why does she end up in bumfuck nowhere Midwest being Mark Borchardt's mother? I want to hear that.
She got sick of making chocolate.
The American dream.
The American dream of what?
Having a weird autistic kid.
No.
I talked to a lot of foreigners, And they almost don't realize that middle America is different from the coast. They think everything is, I don't know, filmic. This is the
Yeah,
real.
absolutely. No, yeah, it is. A lot of people think of America, they think of these fucking coastal.
Well, no. I mean, Hollywood is a propaganda machine, without a doubt. So there is something to say that this is the true American movie. It's not Hollywood. This is the plight of most Americans.
And that's the thing, is that whether people want to say it or not, Mark is very much like, he's more of a filmmaker than a good fair amount of the Hollywood types that are
Dude,
just
he knows
making,
a lot. He knows a fucking
people
lot.
that are just there to make, they just are there to
He's
do a
more of an
job.
artist in a way.
Yeah, he's an artist.
Than
Like, he
some
cares
people.
about the craft. So, like, people can say whatever they want about him and whatever.
There's more art in Coven than a professionally produced Chevy commercial.
Yeah,
You say.
of course. And you're talking about Uncle Bill, but like, at least we see him care about Uncle Bill. He gets him peppermint schnapps, gets him drunk, takes care of him. And
I think that's
he
to
bathes him.
convince him. That's
No,
to
I'm saying he
loosen
bathes
his.
him, takes care of him,
He
and
does bathe him.
does his laundry and shit. Like, he still cares about the guy.
I think he does.
He's already got the $3,000. It's $3,000 is not that crazy.
And also, I think Mark, he's delusional, but he does deep down believe the guy will get a return on his investment.
Yeah, he definitely does. And
Mark's also an idiot and would spend it all on PBR.
Yeah, he wanted to sell 3,000 copies of Coven, and before this movie came out, he sold 100 copies. So that's like $1,000, I guess.
Do you know how many he sold after?
He said after the movie came out, he sold over 2,000 copies of that VHS. So that's
Nice.
that's some cheddar right there. That's like,
but he still didn't meet his goal.
I know, but like, that's still like,
after this movie,
that's like over $20,000-$30,000. That's for an indie filmmaker.
Sure, but if he's trying to develop Northwestern, and you even have one of the most cult documentary films of all time, and you're still not selling your movie, and part of that's just because it's available online. The idea of what kind of retailer would host Coven?
Well, that's the problem, is that he was doing it all by hand and shit. Selling it.
Just so you know, it looks like he's still selling Coven to the.
No, he recently did like a limited release of like signed copies.
That's why I'm on the website right now. I'm wondering how much like an original VHS.
Well, there used to be more for sale back like 5-6 years ago when I was really into this movie, and now it's harder to find. They're usually around $50. I'd like to get one if I could.
Yeah, for sure.
I'd love to.
Well, the problem is that's all collecting hobbies now. The people who were going to buy it have already bought it, and now they're just holding on to it.
People are now grading VHSs or trying to attempt to start that up, which is fucking dumb.
Here's the problem with Mark, is that he is very much in that mindset that he goes through the entire movie of like, fuck the 9 to 5. Basically what he's saying is like, fuck normies, fuck NPCs, that kind of thing. And I can't help but relate to that as a fucking douchebag. Sometimes I'm like, fuck these normies. Well, I've
heard you do it.
I don't fucking look down on people. I'm just saying, like, I don't want to live that basic 9 to 5 existence. It bums me out to think about it. But sometimes you gotta do what you gotta do. That's just life. That's the problem, is that he can't fucking compromise in any way, shape, or form, and that's to his detriment, because after this movie, he said he got a few offers. And I want to read the very end of this same interview, because he shoots himself in the foot because of this mentality. The interviewer says, "Have you been approached for other projects?" Yeah, and this is like a year after the movie came out. He says, "It's not my cup of tea. My film is a black and white flick about a writer drinking in a junkyard who writes his way out of it, and he meets this writer chick out in the sticks. You tell that to Hollywood, they'll have a heart attack at the other end of the phone. Yeah, I have offers of money, blah, 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 but I'm an adult who sees the other end. That's where I'll lose control. They make a movie in color, change things because they have to make money. I'm making an aesthetic investment from the heart. the worlds do not integrate. In fact, big internet company wants to do business with me, but they want their hands on the project in the next film, and that's where I'm drawing the line. I know other people would be jumping up and down and waving at that check, but I know the consequences of that, so screw that. And it's like, dude, you have to make compromises, man. Like,
Well, no,
Yeah,
here's the thing.
for
It's
real.
a type of self-sabotage where he's afraid of really risking it. And he's
Yeah.
afraid of saying, even with a studio backing, I couldn't make a good film. So he has to make excuses. Because I don't know. Part of it is I think this guy's happier drinking PBR out of the freezer than
yeah.
he would
It's
be
like,
on a quote
you can
unquote
do your
real project.
fucking craft. You do like a project for someone. Then whatever you make from that, you try to take to your more art project. That's just how it is. It's like
One
Yeah,
Jay and
day-
Silent Bob Strikes Back
yeah,
when
it's-
Matt Damon's talking to Ben Affleck, and they're like, okay, you do the studio
One-
picture, then you do the art picture, then you do the studio picture, then you do the art picture. And then he's like, and then sometimes you have to do a film for your friend because you owe them a favor, which is one of my favorite jokes in that movie. Back when meta humor wasn't beating you over the head with shit. We can talk about
I don't
that
know.
another
There was a
time.
point where they turned to the camera. A Jade and Silent
Yeah,
Bob
I know.
movie,
I love that.
cheesy. It's annoying.
Yeah, exactly. But I'm not
it's like how like a lot of people deal with their own addictions. I guess his addiction not only to alcohol, but to
The
like making
film.
keep it. Yeah, well, it's like you have to do certain things to get your fix. Like you have to do this big budget film where you don't have a whole lot of creative control, so that you can now get funded for a bigger flick that is all your artistic control.
Yeah, it's kind of like, if you need a 40 and you got to turn a trick to get what you need.
okay.
See, if I want to do blow, I got to buy a kilo.
Dude,
so that way can
if
keep
I
this
gotta,
on.
if I want, if I want to scratch off, I just have to suck a couple dicks,
Okay. Well, I do get that fear though, because it only has gotten worse as time has gone on, because now big studios for some reason like to take indie small budget filmmakers and then throw them into like their biggest fucking tentpole blockbusters for some reason.
It is weird.
Because
like, let's get
one,
Chloe Zhao to do the Celestials, or
They
let's
know
get
that Eternals.
Eternals, whatever.
Yeah, and they'll have like, I guess the studio thinks they'll have them under their thumb and stuff. Gareth Edwards with Rogue One, that movie, like 40% of it was like reshot and stuff. And it's just and then the Lord and Miller, who shot 90% of Solo before it was completely remade, stuff like that. It's like, what the fuck?
It is odd. I feel like they would love a board chart if he was more compliant. No, the idea of you want a competent hack, or you want somebody who they have talent but they don't have enough weight to throw around in negotiations. It's an odd thing how Hollywood does that.
Yeah, because he's competent enough in Coven. All the angles and the way that it's shot is coherent. So
I bet if he worked his way up and wasn't a shithead in an alternate universe, and actually took advice and was able to work with a team, he could do a Blumhouse. I think
Yeah.
he could if
Yeah.
he had the right production team. We saw some really bad ads before Skinamarink, which is a
Oh
whole
yeah, it's still crazy. You guys saw it in theaters.
Skinamarink. I was wondering if we were going to talk about it. I don't know. This movie and Skinamarink kind of go together, because Skinamarink's a more successful zero budget horror movie.
yeah,
guess
but
that's
the
what
chance of it getting this kind of distribution is like 1 in a million. I don't understand,
I don't
because it's
I don't
like
either.
aggressively against everything a common fucking filmgoer would want to see in a movie.
Yeah. That's the best way to describe it.
I'm
But
surprised they
I
keep
don't want to
Arkansas
talk. I don't want
all.
to talk about that movie really right now.
All right, cool.
But yeah, I just I guess I was seeing, unfortunately, some parallels between me and Mark, which I was like, okay, well, at least I don't.
You
do
kind of
things
look
that-
like Mike Shank.
But,
Oh
yeah,
my
but
God.
it's like I don't know. It's like I would never allow myself to go that far to where like,
You were sucking dick for scratch offs.
well, yeah, like I'm gonna do what I need to do to have a decent life and have keep my relationship and not fucking waste away my time
Yeah.
on Fairless project. But it's also, I feel his pain because it's much easier to do filmmaking now. We talk about this in several casts, but like, fuck, do I feel bad when he goes into the editing room and he's like in there for hours and hours and hours, day after day. And it's just fuck editing on film, and then they can't find a little piece, like a good chunk, of like a good like 5-minute chunk of the movie's just like missing for a minute.
That's fucking
Is it a
wild.
5-minute chunk of the
I mean,
movie?
he says it's like, here's the movie, and he's like, here's what's missing. So I assume it's around that much,
Ugh.
which obviously they found it, but like, holy shit.
Yeah, what a
Well,
fucking
that just shows you the ineptitude of it.
That does make me wonder if he would have been born in my age, what he would have been doing, like when YouTube first popped off or something like that, you know.
Would he be on TikTok?
No.
He'd be making those Slender Man videos.
Marble Hornets.
Yeah, Marble Hornet sort of stuff.
Oh my god, that's a throwback.
But also, like, 90s was really was the rise of the indie filmmaker. So I'm sure he was trying to be like that, because you had Kevin Smith and Richard Linklater. And then what really inspired all of these indie filmmakers at the time, obviously, was Tarantino's success with his first film. And then he immediately went into a big budget Pulp Fiction after it. That's probably what people were aiming for, who were similar to him, because they liked his raw style and stuff.
And
you know?
the problem is with success stories like that is that Americans love a good success story, but they hate admitting that successful person was either incredibly lucky or a once in a generation freak talent, Quentin Tarantino. So then you get an army full of Mark Borchards believing they can be the next Tarantino, when no, you deserve to work in a factory and make TikToks.
No, he doesn't deserve to work in a factory.
No, that's all he deserves.
No. But, you know, also, yeah, Kevin Smith made Clerks on no budget. That's what fucking...
And then he never made a good movie again.
But that's the thing, is like, he made it about what he knew, a convenience store, and he set the whole movie in a convenience store. I feel like Northwestern was probably a bit too much of a thing, like a big production for what he had in mind. Mark
what's
did.
it about? What's it about?
Yeah, I was just
I
saying,
don't
do we
know.
know
What I'm
anything
saying
about
is
the
that
plot?
he should have made an in-between film, like he did Coven, use that money to make a much smaller, like 1 or 2 location shot movie, and then really put all your time and effort into that. Because that's much more realistic. So sometimes you have to wait to do your passion projects. Trust me.
I don't know. Spielberg was making war videos when he was 16, you know.
Yeah, but that's
Okay,
with his
again,
friends.
once in a generation freak talent.
It's a joke. It's a joke. It's just we
I know,
talk.
I know.
It's just funny because like with the way podcast has gone, we just did the Fablemans, which is another telling of like the American filmmaker, you know.
Yeah, except a good one this time.
so, I don't
And that's
know.
the thing. You can see the difference. One is much more edited.
Yeah,
What would Mark
no.
Borchardt, if he made his own biopic, if he pulled a Fablemans on himself, if he made the Borchards,
If
what would it be like, and who would play him?
Borchardt, if he became a big director, what MCU movie is he directing?
I don't care.
Howard the
all.
Duck.
Might be sick. Who knows?
He does say in this old interview that he likes the movie. He likes how he's portrayed. He thinks it's honest.
That's cool.
And he thinks it could be inspirational to younger filmmakers. So
It is inspirational.
at the end of the day, it may not be his movie, but he did star in a fucking movie, and it's a big deal to a lot of underground filmmakers.
Well, and I think part of it is that alone says a lot, because the point of making art should also be to foster community and encourage other people to create stuff, which, if that is the purpose of art, then Mark Borchardt has succeeded greatly as an artist. Truly.
Yeah.
Just financially or critically or any other metric, he's not. But
I'm curious to know
succeeded in the place where it matters most.
What is this? What else has he done? Like, has he?
Family Guy cameo.
Well, I'm looking at his like.
He's been in a couple of films.
He's got a short project or a short film called The Dundee Project.
Yeah, it's a UFO documentary.
That's kind of neat.
But like, you have to buy it on DVD, and that's the thing. Is like, do you not know how to submit these things to distributors to see if they want to get it? Because like that could be easily something that they throw up on Tubi or something, you know.
Right, exactly.
I don't
Yeah.
know.
Big
I
bank
just
Does he still?
I'm glad
shoot
he's
on-
I'm glad
I
he
could
made a
see him
new
still
film.
shooting on like, nah, man, digital. It's not true. I'm all about truth. I
Oh
could
my
see him
god, that'd
doing
be the
that.
most expensive film project ever. What about this director, Chris Smith? What do we know about him? Do we know? I'm trying to look.
This is
He's done
mainly
some
what he's known
stuff. He
for.
did that Fire
Oh, he did the
documentary.
Fire documentary.
Yeah.
Word, that was I liked that. That was good. Oh, he also did Jim and Andy, which is about the Jim Carrey's Man on the Moon fucking
Okay.
method acting.
Yeah.
Okay,
So he's a
and he
successful
did Tiger
documentarian.
King. What the fuck?
He didn't direct Tiger King, but he did work on it with the creators and stuff.
Dope. Okay, so yeah, he's just like a
Which
documentary.
is that one's much more exploitative, but
Well, fuck the Tiger King.
yeah, fuck him. I will say like
The only king we have is the Liver King on this.
I do
podcast.
like watching the process of making
would love that.
Coven because it throws me back to some of the processes of making my own films, especially like when he's trying to get that guy's head through the cabinet and it's not scored properly, and it's like, holy shit, dude, you could break this guy's neck.
It's barely scored at all.
Dude, he's like
Scraped it with a toothpick.
he's like trying to punch through it, and his knuckles are bleeding.
Yeah.
Like that's
So
so
funny.
fucked.
He couldn't use plywood or anything. There's no other solution.
It's funny because like when we were shooting Moonman, Cody, like we're chasing him through the forest and he like accidentally hits his head on a tree and it splits his head open. And for some reason we all decided to stay in character for the scene. Cause at first I was like, you know, like fuck this. Like he just split his head open, but Cody kept in character and I was like astounded by that. So we just finished the shot. And then it turns out he like had to get his head stitched back together 3 stitches. He was like bleeding out of his head. And I was just thinking about, I was like, damn, man, I didn't mean for this to happen for this stupid fucking movie. And I don't know. But the insane thing is that he stayed in character as the midman. I was like, God damn.
You got to
this
be
is
an
not
artist.
I was like, dude, that's when I felt bad. I was like, this is not worth all this trouble. You know what I mean?
But that's
But,
because you're a sane person. You're
yeah,
not
I know.
Mark
But
Borchardt,
like, I would not
which
be
is why
pushing-
more people know of Mark Borchardt than
unless
you.
I had a stunt coordinator on hand, I would not be trying to put someone's head through a fucking cabinet.
Have an ambulance on fucking
Like
site.
that's insane. But I
People,
respect the hustle of and the insanity of it. But like, holy shit.
Well, that's another thing that still shows that is an element of hubris in your writing. Because yeah, he didn't try to write some complex character piece, but there's something like that where any sort of violence is harder to do on film than it seems to do it and make it safe. And
Yeah.
I hate to bring it back to Babylon, but there was also that scene where the guy got stabbed in the chest. They just
Oh yeah, that happened all the time.
Like, I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah. Shout out to Babylon. Go see
And
that.
there would be a ton of dead horses in that production. There were always dead animals.
Oh,
apparently,
yeah.
there's a bunch of dead pigeons in Michael Bay movies.
I believe it.
Oh yeah. Fuck all that. People are paying him to be like some sort of killer, dude.
Murderer of pests.
Yeah, I do. Like, there is like definitely this childish nature of Mark that he can't shake, like a teenager kind of nature. Like they're all just trying to enjoy the Super Bowl, and he got too drunk, and he's trying to go to Jim Mitchell's to get like 3 pitchers or whatever and then he starts like swearing at the camera about 9 to 5 normie bullshit and stuff, and it's just like, dude, what are you, fucking 18? Like, god damn.
It makes me feel better about myself. That's the great thing about this movie. It'll make you feel better about your own life decisions, unless you're somebody who never followed their dreams. But then you might watch this and be like, I'm glad I didn't follow my dreams. That was stupid. The world doesn't need any more yodeling.
No. We need more people to take risks. That's just how it is. And sometimes the risks.
We need other people to not take risks so I can take risks.
Yeah.
And they can assume the risk.
Sometimes the risks
There's too many risk takers nowadays.
No, guess what? Sometimes the risks don't pay off. That's why they're risks.
You know,
I will say,
you sound like a bank.
I love I love that guy that he gets to be in the movie, Robert, who like is the epitome of like a community theater guy who like takes drama classes and like does local theater stuff, and he like takes himself too seriously. I love that guy because like I've seen him in other people because I took drama in high school and I did the musicals productions backstage. I was stage crew. And then in 12th grade, me and Braden were leaders of the stage crew. So I got to be around some of those older theater types, and like he's the epitome of that.
It's a weird world, though, that local theater hierarchies.
Well, I was reading into this a couple nights ago, just on like where are they now type stuff. Let me pull up this article.
Yeah.
It's got a spot for a couple of them. One of them being that overly, the theater major, community theater guy. Apparently, he's still finding work as an independent actor.
I believe it.
Web-based project. He's in a YouTube short called Breakfast that apparently is pretty good.
Breakfast.
The fucking most wild thing of the actors is the old guy in it.
Yeah.
He plays a character in Leisure Suit Larry called the Porn Fairy.
What?
I read that and I was like, what the fuck?
I need to play that.
That's
I
badass.
downloaded all the Leisure Suit Larrys recently. They were on sale.
They're those are classics. Those are classic.
What's funny about what's funny about Leisure Suit Larry to make sure you're 18, it asks you a bunch of questions that only adults would know, but it's all from like the late 80s. So it's asking me questions about Gorbachev and stuff. I'm like, I don't know this. I have to look up the answer.
You have to be 50 plus to know these.
Yeah. Oh man, I don't remember this specific thing that Gorbachev said.
That's funny as fuck. Yeah, he's in Leisure Suit Larry, magna cum laude.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, there's a few other people they have on here. I was really interested to see. I really wanted to see how those fucking kids turned out, but I don't have it. I can't find.
I mean, things are quiet, which is as good as we can hope.
Well, it's like I kind of want to try to find them on Facebook.
Hang out with them.
Yeah,
have them on the
bother 'em?
cast.
No.
I just like I get weird. I get interested in stuff like that. Another interesting
Talking.
one is Ken Keene, the guy who had the fucking ponytail with the bald head.
Yeah, his
Dude
childhood
looks like
friend.
he used to crush pussy.
I don't know. He looks like a much more beta version of the villains in Die Hard, like the Europeans.
Yeah. Oh shit. He was a role. He had an extra role in Michael Mann's Public Enemies, and then he's in a documentary called American Surf Rider, where he's one of the film's interviewers, and a few others. There's a YouTube video recent, like as recent as like 5, 6, 7 years. Oh no, shit, it'd be like 9 years, where he's like being interviewed for some stuff. I don't know. It's interesting stuff. He still looks the exact same, just a little more bald, which is wild to me. Get a fucking haircut, dude.
No, dude. The 90s never left Wisconsin.
It's fascinating how Mark, he tries to make his ventures like into this like American legend, like tale or something, and then it's like juxtaposed with him talking about working at that mausoleum or whatever, and he says, I'm 30 years old and in about 10 seconds I'm gonna have to start cleaning up someone's shit, and he's bitching about having to clean the bathroom because it's part of his job and stuff like that. And it's like, I get it, but like, dude, you can try and work somewhere else. It's not a big deal. Mm-hmm. The world's not out to get you, guy. You can figure some shit out. I don't know.
I do want to go back to some of the production on the film. I think it's cool that Mark, all the music that's been used in the film is done by Mike.
Yeah, Mike Shank did the music, and that's like the thing is like he's got his own kind of artistic endeavors in that way, but they're more simple. He got to make music for a fucking movie, that's cool as hell.
It's super tight.
I'm sure that was always like a big deal to him.
Yeah, thousands of people heard his music because of this movie. And it is odd, but I wouldn't even call it bad. I wouldn't listen to a whole album.
No, he's a good guitarist. He understands music pretty well. He's a weirdo and the happiest go lucky. I know a lot of guys that are very similarly fried.
I'm sure.
And they're usually pretty cool like that, man. Just full of good vibes. It is sad that he passed away last year, cancer. But I do want to say, just real before that, he was 27 years clean, which is fucking incredible. And then another thing he said before he passed is he's like, let me find it. He says, "Hey Jackie, I feel really bad for children who have cancer. They should never have to." And it's
Yeah.
like he's always thinking about other people, man. It's like, I don't know. I fucking resonated with that guy a lot. I liked him a lot.
Yeah, he's a good guy, and
It's
he like
crazy. Go ahead.
him drinking Surge, dude. Is like such like a
Yeah, one of my favorite
place and
things.
time. You know what I mean?
Yeah, one of my favorite things is he has a soda on the ground. He's like, "Hey man, can you move that to the car? I'd like it not to be frozen. I want to drink it later."
Yeah,
Like it's just like, I don't
that's
know,
what
it's
he's
just-
worried about in the middle of this production shoot. So,
Yeah.
like,
It's
that's
cool though.
beautiful to
Like
me.
there were a lot of like big name celebrity admirers. Like Mark Duplass tweeted something about him.
I
Pat
believe it.
Oswalt. I think Taika Waititi, Elijah Wood, Rain White, Edgar Wright. Like there's a lot of admiration for this
Yeah,
dude
man.
for being in like a relatively obscure kind of cult classic now.
It's
That's a
endearing,
beautiful thing.
and it's likable, and it's beautiful.
This was
I,
this is your first time watching it, Gasher. How did you feel about that scene where he's trying to get Uncle Bill to do those ADR lines? And it's like, it's all right, it's okay.
Yeah.
There's something to live for.
Yeah,
Here's the
dude,
thing,
it's
this is
told me
the only
so.
documentary I can reference and crack Adrian up like it's a comedy movie.
that's funny as fuck. No,
I can reference that. I can say that exact thing whenever I want, and it's a guaranteed laugh from Adrian.
Yeah.
this is the I do. This is a movie that you mentioned it to me right as I started getting on the podcast, and I was gonna watch it immediately, but then you were like, you should wait for the first watch to be for this podcast, and I was like waiting and waiting, and finally we're doing it, and it was awesome. It's definitely in one of my top documentaries now. I thoroughly enjoyed it, but that scene was fucking too much.
I do say I wish Uncle Bill could have seen this film. I think he might have liked it. But you know, because it's almost like this movie represents more than the sum of all of its parts.
It does.
Yeah. So yeah, great documentary. I wish Mark the best. I don't know if he'll ever make the Northwestern.
Come on our podcast. Talk
Yeah,
about it.
yeah, right.
Dude, if we could do a fucking Mark Borchardt, whatever his favorite films were,
Borchardt.
what was it? Like he like Night of the Living Dead, Texas Chainsaw, and I can't remember the other one. I would be down to do one with him.
Yeah, he would love to talk about it, I bet something like that, but you never know, I guess. I invited the director of Skinamarink on our show. He
He's
hasn't
gonna be
responded.
here.
He hasn't responded, but
He's gonna be here. Chris Stuckman, who?
Yeah, Chris Stuckman, my ass. Anything else you want to say about American Movie?
No, man. Go see it. It's a
Go see
legitimately, I
it.
think it's a classic. It's a classic.
Go see it. Go to the theaters.
Go
Out
to the
now.
theater and see it right now.
What do you want to
After
plug?
watching
Adrian?
this.
So there's something you want to plug real quick?
No, I mean, if you want to go see my made up fucking movies, go watch The Boring Line. It's our other channel.
Your made up movies.
Yeah, I don't know, just like
If you guys don't want me to kill myself, please message me on my Facebook. Adrian will put it below.
And you can
Yeah.
follow me on Instagram at Scott K Comedy for the latest in comedy, and it's mostly me posting this podcast. I'll be honest, guys. But you can follow me anyway.
Yeah, we have a tie-in feature film to this film discussion show. It's called The Patrician's Guide to Kino. I guess go check that out. But anyway, thanks for watching, everybody. Next week, I am not quite sure what it will be. I have a list, but I need to look at that list. But I guess y'all will see what it is next week. Thanks.